Welcome to your semester exam. For your semester exam, we're going to create a portfolio using Adobe Acrobat Pro. I have Adobe Acrobat Pro docked down at the bottom of my computer, but remember, if you don't have yours there, you can always go to Applications, and here it is, Adobe Acrobat 10 Pro, and right here, Adobe Acrobat Pro. Go ahead and double click to open it, and this is the welcome screen that you get. Now, what we're going to be doing is creating a portfolio, as I said. And so there's a couple of things that you're going to need to do. Number one, you're going to need to open our website. And I would go to the challenges page so that you can see a list of all the challenges. Now, most of you have not completed every single one of them. However, a couple of you have. And if you do not remember by looking at them which ones you've completed, you can go up here into your stats and you can see right here on the challenges, you can see what you've completed. Okay, and actually there, when you do that, that shows it. Okay, so that's a couple of ways to notice what you're doing. Secondly, you're going to need to open schools so that you can see all the work that you've saved. Now, when you first open it, yours probably looks something like this, which is not very organized. A couple of times throughout the year, I have made suggestions about organizing yours into folders, a folder for Photoshop, a folder for Flash, etc., etc. If you've done that, that is wonderful because you are going to be a step ahead of the game and it's going to be easier for you to find things. If you have not, my first suggestion is to do this. Once you open your schools, your folder in schools, come over here and go into this list view or details view and then click on kind. That arranges it by file type. So now all of a sudden you see all of my PDF files in one place, all of my JPEG files together, all of my website folders together, all of my Swift files that were published for Flash, etc., etc. Okay, and that's important. You are going to need it like that. Okay, now what you're going to do is this. Once you open Adobe Acrobat Pro, over here on the right hand side you're going to see Getting Started and you're going to see Create PDF Portfolio. This is the one that you're going to use. And over here on the left are different layouts. You can choose yours now, or you can just click on one and click Finish because you're going to be able to edit it later. Go ahead and click on that Finish and it's going to start to populate it. Now, your portfolio, what it does is when it first starts, you're going to see a blank screen here, and this is where you're going to be able to put things. The first thing that I want you to put on here is going to be a photo of yourself that is going to have some text. So if you don't have a photo that you like of yourself in your schools, you can use Photo Booth, which is, of course, in Applications, and take a photo of yourself right now. Don't bother using the camera, just do the photo right then. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and open Photoshop real quick so that I can show you how I want to edit my photo. I'm going to go and open mine. I have mine on the desktop because remember I don't have schools. And I'm going to go to Image and Canvas Size. And I want to create a little space at the bottom. So I'm going to click on that arrow at the top and it's going to let me resize it from the top down. So I'm going to leave the width as is and I'm going to make the height, I'm going to say 5.5 inches. I can trim it later if needed. And ooh, I have this really ugly red background and that's because that was my background color there, which I don't want. So I'm going to select it. And I am going to get my paint bucket and paint that white. There we go. That's going to be better. Then I'll use my type tool and I'll put black type. I know that 200 is going to be too big, so I'm going to go ahead and set it to 12. I'm going to choose Verdana. That's one of my favorite fonts. And I am going to type welcome to my technology applications portfolio. And please spell portfolio correctly. All right, now you notice that it doesn't fit on there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete that one. And this time I'm going to, when I get my text tool or my type tool, I'm going to go ahead and draw the area that I want to type in. There. Welcome to my technology applications portfolio. Please scroll through the images to see examples of my work from the 2014 to 2015 school year. You don't have to write exactly what I did, but you do want to get a little welcome there. Now, I'm going to open my character panel because this is where I can make some final changes. And I see that based on things that I had previously typed in here, some of my settings were a little off. And with this, I can make my font a little bit bigger. And I might want to make mine bold, actually. And then there we go. Okay, I can even make it centered, or I can use my justification, which might be better. However, I don't like to have the hyphens there. There we go. All right, so that's what I want. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a JPEG. And then that's going to be the first thing that I add to my portfolio. And I should see an image there. There we go. Okay. Then you're going to create folder, and you're going to create a folder, and you're going to name it each piece of software that we covered. So we had Photoshop, Flash, we had web design, we had InDesign, and we had Illustrator. We also did a stop motion video. Some of you even did 2 of them. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do that and then put that in there. Okay. Now, in order to bring your files into these folders, what you have to do is you're going to find the folder, and I'm going to go ahead and start with Photoshop, and I'll double click and that opens that folder. Now, there's 2 ways that I can do this. I can now click here and add files, or I can simply drag them in from my folder over here. So I know that these right here are all of my Photoshop files. I think they're all of my Photoshop files. And notice that they are all JPEGs. Okay? You can't put a Photoshop file in there, it won't be seen. So you have to make sure that you have exported it as a JPEG. If you have not, you're going to need to open Photoshop and save each one of them as a JPEG. I drag them in. You can see down here that it's adding. Here it is. And I have all of my thumbnails showing me what they are. I could double click on it and see it. Okay, so that's great. And then I can close that folder. Then I can do the same thing. I can go to Flash. There's Flash. For Flash, I need to make sure that I am choosing all of my Swift files, not the Flash files. Okay, and so I'm going to select those, drag those in, and these don't give you a preview. Okay, however, if you double click to open it, it shows you what yours was. Okay, whoops, and then I'm cancel. I'm going to close out of it with this X, and then I can see all those in my folder, and I can X out of that. Okay, and so you're going to do that with each of your folders. For Illustrator, some of the files that you created were PDFs, some were JPEGs or GIF files. Make sure you include those. Okay, for, whoops, that's not what I meant. For InDesign, here's InDesign, make sure that all of the files that you use are the PDFs, the ones that you published. Okay, those are the ones that need to be seen. If you put in an InDesign file, it's not going to show up correctly. Okay, and it will require the program in order to view it. Okay, so these are what you're going to do here. And as you finish adding your files, you can go through here and you can change your portfolio layout. Let's say maybe you decide you want freeform instead of the click-through. Or maybe, and then if you do, know that you can move these around. Okay? Maybe you want a grid or linear or wave. Okay? Any of them is fine with me. You just have to pick and make it work. Okay? Then, after portfolio layouts, you have visual themes. Okay? And there's different ones depending on what you want. I kind of like the spring one here, so I'm going to choose spring. And then I'm going to go to the color palettes, and there are some different color palettes that are associated with spring, and I'm going to choose one of them for mine. Then I'm going to go into the background, and here it allows me to change the background color, whether I want it to be a linear, radial gradient, or whatever. I can change it. I can change the intensity of the gradient. I could choose an image if I wanted. I could put borders on there. I could position images, opacity. All of these things are things that you can play with. And then finally, you have the ability to change the fonts that you're using in your portfolio. I would embed them, and you can adjust the size. Okay. Now, if you go into details, that's just the layout. If you go into details, you'll be able to give a little bit better detail, like this one here where it says display name, your image. You probably want to change that like to a welcome. Here you can put a description. Flash is an animation program. Illustrator creates vector graphics. Okay, and so you can, or you should, not can, put a description there. Okay. You also have the ability to add columns if you wanted something else there. You could order it or sort it away as well. When you're finished, you'll want to save this. Okay, and you'll want to save it as your period number, last name, and portfolio, spelled correctly. Save it to your folder in schools. And when you're done, call me over so that I can see it. Okay? And you can look at the info and see how many megabytes it is. If it's small, upload it to your Google Drive.